Greetings, everyone.
Good morning, Mengem. How are you this
Good
morning?
morning, good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Morning,
Oh,
Happy New
thank
Year.
you. So good to hear from everyone. Happy New
Ah,
Year.
super.
Good
Okay.
morning, good morning, good morning.
Uyasihlupha uyazi iParliament yavula komsa iikomiti zakho apha.
Umsebenzi weParliament ufuna uqhubekeke.
Hayi hlupheka wasihlupha mani.
Hey.
Sawubona.
Morning, morning.
How are you?
Fine, thanks and yourself.
I'm also fine.
Well, that's fine. We're starting at 9:30, so
Okay, thank you.
okay.
The whip of the committee, Honorable Landsman. Morning. Hello, Mshori.
Morning, Chair. How are you?
Morning, Chair. I think it's network. I
Happy
can't
New
unmute.
Year.
Oh, good, man. No, thanks for your attendance. Welcome. I hope you had ample opportunity to relax.
Yes,
You are
Chair.
ready,
Thank
you are
you, Chair.
ready for the task for this year.
Thank you, Chair. We are all prepared.
Great. That's it. You tell us when we are ready, Committee Secretary.
Chairperson, yes, I will. Chairperson.
Are we ready, Committee Secretary?
Yes, but before we start, I just want to confirm, the members who are in attendance.
Okay, good.
It's you, Chairperson, Honorable Dango, Honorable Brotherfeth, Honorable Moshodi, and Honorable Landsman, Honorable Khai, and Honorable Boshoff.
Oh, great. Thank you for that update. Do we have the minister today or anyone from the
I saw when I started the meeting, the minister was in the meeting, but we also received an apology that he's in the cabinet meeting. So maybe the team from the minister's office, they can, provide us a clarity. Because I saw him, he was logged in.
No, it's fine. Allow me then, honorable members, to take this opportunity to formally open the meeting of the Select Committee on Transport, Public Works and Infrastructure, Public Service and Administration, and Monitoring and Evaluation. This is the
recording in progress.
This is the first meeting of the Select Committee for this year. And it is only fair that we formally extend wishes for the best of this year to all of you, honorable members, and also our guest. We hope you had ample opportunity to rest and you are ready for this year, because this is going to be a hectic year. And given the nature of the year itself, it means we have a very congested program that we have to contend with as we finalize our program. Well, I think one of the key attributes that we'll have to deal with as one of the last items for this quarter will be the legacy report. I hope that the team is working on that. But be that as it may, today's agenda is we are dealing with two items. Is the consideration of the C list, and then also we'll then have a presentation from the Department of Public Works on its annual report. So it is fair also to extend a word of welcome to them. I understand the team is led by Mr. Mokoena, but also the media team from Parliament and also other streams. You are mostly welcome, and also the Parliamentary Monitoring Group. I see that Honorable Khai's hand is up. Honorable Khai. Honorable Khai.
Yes, good morning, Honorable Chair. Good morning to honorable members and committee staff and compliments of the new year. Chair, I'm just concerned that, we've never seen the minister in this committee since he was appointed. I know that there are cabinet meetings on Wednesdays, but we were able to see the previous minister, even when they were cabinet ministers, even if she would come in and open and then be excused. It's just a concern that we've never seen. It's worse also with the deputy minister, Honorable Nopolo Kivit was a deputy minister. She was very consistent in attending the committee meetings. When the minister was attending the cabinet meeting, consistently she would be attending the committee meeting. But we don't even have the apology of the deputy minister. I think it's a concern. I know towards the end of this term, but it's a concern that we've never seen the two members of the executive, the minister and the deputy. It's a concern that I think should be raised with the minister. Maybe when he was logging, maybe he thought he was logging to the cabinet meeting. I don't know. Yeah.
Yes. In fact, he was the first one to log in. Honorable Khai, I suspect the fact that we started at 9:30 and he's lost, but he was the first one to log in. Unfortunately, because of the apology that we received, he cannot. But definitely, we will definitely register the concern that members are raising. Perhaps maybe do we have the parliamentary liaison officer just to get a sense as to where is the deputy minister? Is the parliamentary liaison officer here?
Thank you, Chairperson. He called me the parliamentary officer. The deputy minister has been struggling to connect, but they're trying to connect through I send them through the WhatsApp. They will connect.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. No, it's fine. Yeah, I think let's then take note of that process. But definitely, it's a matter that I will raise with the minister. Honorable members, as you all remember, the first item, given the previous engagement that we had, is the consideration of the C list. We have Mephumelela Ngema and Advocate Van Breda that will be leading us on this item. I believe that also from the department side, they were able to cohere. Can we then give over to Mrs. Ngema to lead the presentation of the C list?
Greetings, Chairperson and the members in the meeting and everyone in the platform. I trust and hope that I'm audible.
Yes,
My
yes.
name is Phumelele Ngema. Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Phumelele Ngema, the Parliamentary Legal Advisor. I will attempt to take the committee through the C list, which with the appreciated leniency and committee giving us the time to look into this and the provisions that were still outstanding upon the last meeting, we did submit the C list in December 12th last year. So we are hoping that the members did get sufficient time to look into. I'm trying to remove my sideline so that I can move I can move away this so that I can be able to move the screen that I've lighted up. I hope it can show. Basically, Chairperson, I will start with the C list and just go through only the provisions that are being amended out of the deliberations that the committee gave us. As the committee would be aware, we are dealing with the B version of the bill, and that is the one we are amending. And it was amended by the National Assembly and transferred and referred to the NCOP so that the committee can handle it as it is doing now. Chairperson, under clause 1, which is the clause on the definitions, the only part that the amendment is dealing with is the issue in respect of ownership and the owner as defined within that clause. What we did there out of the deliberations is just to make sure that even the common law ownership processes as well as the customary law processes are included, so that all forms of ownership are covered when the issues and interest and effect brought about by expropriation will be covered. That is the only one that will be affected under clause 1. Under clause 2, Chairperson, it is a provision that is dealing with, it is a provision that is addressing the application of the Act. So what this subsection 3 will do, which is going to be added on the bill, and it was pointed out that even though it was discussed at the first house and the first committee, the portfolio committee, we sort of somehow missed including the part that deals with expropriating on behalf of third parties. So this is what, when that acquisition or taking is done, will also cover in line with the dictates of the Constitution. Then the rest of the other amendments under clause 2 is just to effect the correct numbering, Chairperson, to ensure that there is consistency and proper referencing. And the last one is also to speak to clause 20, which clause 20 is the one on agent or sometime referred to as temporary taking. So it is also added into the application and extent of that application once the bill becomes an act. And that is all that clause 2 seeks to address in the amendments. Chairperson, under clause 3, and clause 3 is just a consequential correction, Chairperson, so that when we read, there was that word as missing in the current text, so it will just add that. In light of clause 5, Chairperson, clause 5 is a provision that's seeking to address when the investigation and gathering of information must be done prior to the decision and actually the intention to take expropriation. So what we are doing here as an amendment is merely to make sure the alignment with the Constitution as the supreme law. If we look at section 25 of the Constitution, it does not speak to factors, but it speaks to circumstances. So that is the amendment effect that is brought by clause 5. Under clause 7, Chairperson, it's a provision that's speaking on the intention to expropriate. that is done immediately once the information has been gathered and the executing authority or the expropriating authority is having information to be able to decide what property, what are the circumstances of that property, and what needs to be taken into account and dealt with. So it's a provision that deals with the first intention, which is the notice to provide that there is likelihood that certain property or such properties will be expropriated. So what we are bringing as the amendment in light of the deliberations and the submissions and all the mandates submissions, Chairperson, was to look into the issue of where there was reference to future dates, as well as the issue of under clause 20, which is the temporary or agent expropriation part that allows a limited use of the property where there are agent circumstances. So there, Chairperson, because of the changes that are brought by clause 20, we are now making a consequential correction to clause 7 in respect of 7.2f. That is already on the bill, and removing that which is no longer necessary as part of the provision and the corrections under clause 20. And the rest, Chairperson, are just consequential alignments to ensure the proper alignment and the reading of the provision under clause 7. And then the last one, which is point 4, Chairperson, is to add, which was also deliberated on and came out of the submissions, that the notice must also include the empowering legislation that will be giving the power of the intended expropriation, so as to make it clear that the expropriation as required by Section 25 is done in terms of the law of general application. So the addition of sub N will bring that effect into the amendment of the bill, and when it becomes the law. The number 5 amendment, Chairperson, was also to align with the phrasing as it appears in the Constitution when it's dealing with the compensation issues. Instead of us saying the amount of compensation, and we are substituting compensation to the amount which the time and manner would have been agreed as it dictates in the Constitution. Clause 8, Chairperson, with your permission, if I move quickly, is also now a provision on actual notices that a decision to expropriate has been taken, and therefore the notice with certainty that expropriation will take place is the provision that we are now seeking to bring about some changes to it. Again, the main changes that are brought there are the changes with regards to, as I've pointed out in respect of 7, that deal with clause 20, because there are changes we have made in respect of 20, and I will explain when we get there. But it is in respect of the time frame and the actual limited time that such an agent or expropriation that is needed on temporary reasons must be done, and the extent that it will take. So those are the changes that relate to that and are affecting clause 8 in line with what clause 20 will be now dealing with. The same as well, there will be an addition of H, which must ensure that the empowering provision that gives the power to expropriate is also given effect and pointed out in this notice to actually now expropriate. And then clause 9, Chairperson, is also a provision that is dealing with the issue now, because expropriation would have been given the notice and it is now taken place or is being processed. So clause 9 is a provision that deals with what then once the property is expropriated. So it deals with the possession and the vesting of the property that has already been expropriated. What we picked up in respect of number 1 is that the definition of holder of a right is defined under clause 1. But then in the text, we found that in some instances, which is the amendment that aligns with the general amendment that we have made, in some instances, instead of giving the full term holder of a right, which is defined in the clause 1, was coming up as just saying holder. So it's just for consistency purposes and ensuring that there is no other intention or interpretation that can be read into what the definition of holder of a right and holder, just to bring that clarity, Chairperson. So that number 1 amendment seeks to align with that, as well as the general amendment, which comes at the end of the list of amendments. Under clause 2, under number 2, Chairperson, as well as under clause 9, there was an issue raised with the submissions in respect of the interpretation and word depreciation. So what we have done here, because it appeared that depreciation may be speaking maybe to a limited definition and explanation, instead of using the amount that would have affected the property and say depreciation, we have just then suggested that we use the amount for the loss of value. So whatever would be lost and can be quantified is what then would be dealt with in respect of repairs and ensuring that the property was affected somehow. Under clause 10, Chairperson, the clause 10 is a general clause addressing the issues again. It's addressing the issues in respect of just a second, Chairperson. Clause 10, it was the verification of unregistered rights. So what is happening there, Chairperson? We are bringing clarity in respect of 10.1. 10.1, because what we found perhaps when reading it, and as was pointed out, it was a bit convoluted and maybe confusing. So we are bringing precise clarity in respect of delivery of whatever information is expected to be delivered, and the responsibility of who will deliver in respect of unregistered rights. So just subsection 1 of clause 10 is being corrected to read well and read concisely, Chairperson. That is the amendment brought about clause 1. Clause 12 is the one that deals with expropriation without compensation. So in light of the deliberations, what we are correcting and giving effect by the amendments, Chairperson, it was pointed out that the Constitution speaks to interest of those affected, whereas the bill sort of limited that scope. So we are ensuring that when we speak to clause 12 and those that will be affected, all the processes in respect of clause 12, where there will be suggestions or decision to expropriate without compensation, are taken into account, conducted, and given the necessary notices and involved in the process. So that is number 1 of clause 12, giving effect to that. Furthermore, number 2, Chairperson, we are also correcting what I've already pointed out in respect of expropriated owner, expropriated holder of a right, because those two definitions, those two words are already defined under the clause 1, and they are very broad and encompassing various types of these kinds of people, the owner or the holder of a right. Hence, we are removing whatever appeared in the context of the clause 12 to make sure that it aligns with clause 12, with the definitions that appear in clause 1, so that there will be no confusion or conflict at all. The other one, number 4, is the one where we were saying there are the identified properties that can be expropriated without compensation, to ensure that despite the capabilities of the owner or the holder being able to do something about that property, it may still fall within that those that are listed, because we are not indicating that they have done nothing or can do nothing. But whatever would have been done is covered within the provision, and to ensure the legality of the process and take into account the processes that they have tried to ensure that, for an example, they just did not abandon the property for the sake of abandoning it. That is generally what then clause 12 is bringing about the amendment. And then for what appears in number 6 on page 14 from line 28 to omit paragraph E, that paragraph E will be coming out of the provision. It dealt with the situation that is already covered, Chairperson. If I may just quickly read out what that paragraph E of clause 12, it is clause 12 2E, which was related to anything done with the object of, it's the 3E, Chairperson, when the nature and condition of the property poses a health, safety, or physical risk to persons or other property. That's the one, Chairperson, that is going to be removed. And then we move to clause 13. Clause 13 of the bill is the one that addresses the issues about the invoice, where in respect of compensation amount, whether agreed or offered or not yet agreed but still being negotiated, there was a point raised that a provisional tax invoice in respect of the compensation offered must be provided. So that is the effect of the amendment we are bringing under one of clause 13. And then the following ones, Chairperson, as you can see, we are omitting. It's just to make sure that the delivery methods that were indicated speaks to the electronical transfer of the amount as well, which I think from the methods that were listed to make payment was outstanding or not clear. So we are giving effect to extending the electronical methods of making payments, Chairperson, to the provision. And then clause 15, Chairperson, in this instance, what we are correcting here or giving effect to is to ensure that in respect of clause 9, which is speaking to vesting and possessing of the expropriated property, we are ensuring correction and proper referencing to the changes that were made in the provisions that are in clause 9, and to ensure that the empowerment by clause 19, the dispute in two courts, is also aligned with this provision and enabled. The other one, though, Chairperson, is that you would recall that there was a reference to Section 18 of the Supreme Court's Act, which is a provision that sort of halts the proceedings or any processing in any action once there is a court matter. But what clause 15.1 in this regard will then be giving effect to is to say that, no, Chairperson, I'm jumping. It's not in respect, but I'm bringing in clause 19 and section 19, which is not in this provision. But what is doing here in clause 15 is basically to make a proper referencing to the changes that were done in respect of clause 9. And then we are then doing consequential corrections that are necessary. I then quickly jumped into clause 19, which I was not there, and clause 19 is the one that dealing with the court processes, Chairperson. So what clause 19 would eventually effect is the bringing in of section 18 of the Supreme Court's Act, Chairperson, which basically allows that even if a matter is brought to court because there's a dispute, whether in amount or in whatever other things, that process will not stifle or hinder the processing of the expropriation once the intention to expropriate has been taken and given to the public as required in terms of the Act. So this provision that is brought in by saying despite Section 18 of the Supreme Court's Act will bring about the taking away of the principle that Section 18 ordinarily brings to put a halt into any process or action once there is a court matter that is pending before our courts of law. That is the change that is brought in by clause 20, by clause 19 to align with whatever was discussed and taken into account to amend this bill. And then clause 20, Chairperson, is the one that I said I will come back to. It's dealing with the agent expropriations or the temporary taking. The committee would recall that it was agreed that there should be set limited time frame for such an expropriation, and that different processes may be likely because of the reasons for agency to have this. So basically, that is the change. Agent expropriation can only be done if it's for public purpose or if it's in the public interest, and it must not exceed the time that is already indicated, which I think it's 12 months in the current text of the bill. And should there be a need to do that or extend, it must go to court. That's basically the changes that clause 20 brings, and it also takes away some of the provisions that are set out, because as it says, it is done because it's agent or needed temporarily. So some of the provisions of the Act as set out on investigations or notices as defined there for clause 5 and clause 7 may not be applicable, but it provides another method to still ensure that administrative action is done properly according to PAJA, as well as ensure that even though it's going to be within a limited time than the normal time set out by the bill, it's enabling that to take place. So that's basically most of the changes in summary, Chairperson, that are brought by clause 20, which is on agent, or what an overlapping term others would use as temporary expropriation. It further adds for clause 10, Chairperson, that if the property is land, the expropriating authority will be liable for municipal property rates and other taxes that are needed. Clause 22, Chairperson, clause 22, it also seeks to clause 22, Chairperson, is on the delivery processes, what can be used and what cannot be used. So what we are doing again here in terms of delivering the notices or the information that may be required, we extending that into electronical methods and making reference to the Act in terms of electronic communications, as was pointed out through the deliberations. The second amendment, Chairperson, it was raised from the mandates, I think, where they were saying we need to do away with the use of Latin terms or terms that might not be clear immediately, even for lay persons. So what too was to do away with fideicommisum, and we've tried to bring it in a simple English, which is going to be reading that if the identity of an heir or legatee whose interest has passed or will pass to another person on the fulfillment of a specific condition is unknown, then the expropriating authority is empowered to go ahead and deal with the processes required and notices. And the rest, Chairperson, are consequential amendments, as I said, to bring about the amendment of electronic mail as going to be used and allow the prescription of other processes, Chairperson. The other ones are just corrections because there were additions we were doing, so the numbering needed to be corrected. On clause 24, on clause 27, Chairperson, as I said, it seeks to ensure that the interest of all those that may not have been covered is covered as well. And then what I pointed out in respect of the general amendment, Chairperson, is already on record to say wherever the expropriated holder of a right is not written in full, it must be changed, and that will be effected should the committee give us the permission to go ahead and prepare the DPWI version. And so those are the changes that will be incorporated into that bill, Chairperson, which will be the bill of the select committee. And once passed by the House, it will be then the bill that must go back to the first House for concurrence. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Phumelela Ngema, for taking us through the list, the C list. Maybe we should give over to Advocate Van Breda. Any comment from your side?
Yes, Chair. Thank you. I just wanted to remind the committee that the C list was already presented on the 6th of December. It was subsequently amended due to the department bringing in a new proposed amendment, and that was in respect of clause 20. So the only substantive amendment to the C list was in respect of clause 20. That's all from me. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Advocate Van Breda, for the comment. Let's check with the department. I guess Mr. Mokoena will indicate to us who will make input in relation to the department. Lwazima Sangu.
Chairperson. Good morning. Good morning, members. My name is Sifiso Mtagana. I'm using Lwazima computer. Chair.
Brilliant. Okay.
I'm the DG of the department. Yes. Yes. Thank you very much, Chair. I think what Ms. Phumelela Ngema has presented, Chair, we are much aligned, and I believe our officials, the Chief Director from Policy, Mr. Luvuane Ndo, had really worked side by side with her and also other members there in Parliament. So I think we are happy that the bill has been presented, and we are hoping that it will start to go to the first House and then the NCOP for finalization. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you. Can we then can you take it down, Pilbaga, so that we then
I'm trying, Chair. If maybe my colleagues can assist, I'm trying yet I can't find these buttons.
Okay. Can you help, Committee Secretary?
Chairperson, unfortunately, we can't. She must take it on her side.
Oh, brilliant. No,
Okay,
she
no, it's not
succeeded. Thanks, Phumelela. Honorable members, that is the input from our legal advisors, and also the department. You'll remember that indeed the presentation was made, and then the reason was advanced to allow the team to be able to cohere in relation to some of the clauses that were raised. And indeed, the message from the three speakers, from Advocate Breda, from Ngema, from the department, is that there is convergence. Let's give over to Honorable Dango.
Chairperson, thank you very much, and thank you for the presentation. Chairperson, my only question is to timing. If it's going to go back to the National Assembly, and then come back to us at the NCOP, when will that happen then? The timing is going to be important in this matter. So I think we need just some clarity on that. And I like the new references, not to the NA or the NCOP, but to the first house and the second house. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. I think processes, once we are done, then it will not be coming back to us. Once we are done, then we'll just it will be given to the NA just for the purpose of some of the amendments that we brought. Then from there, it will then go straight to the president in terms of processes. That's how it goes. So let's just correct that one. Other than that, any further input, honorable members? Ms. Ngema, I see that you brought it back again.
Chairperson, I am trying to move this thing.
You had succeeded.
Had I?
Yes, then you brought it back. Oh, brilliant. It is off now.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Let me not touch anything then.
Yes. Committee Secretary, can you just in terms of there are no further hands, ne? Can we then put all right, Honorable Pratasa? Tim, the floor is yours. Can Tim hear me?
The same way can.
There's a problem of unmuting, Chair.
Oh, he's gone. I guess then in terms of Honorable Dango, that is a legal hand, I believe. Thank you. Let's then try to check. It looks like Honorable Prataseth is disconnected. Is that the situation?
No, Chairperson is in the meeting.
Okay.
Chairperson, I'm terribly sorry.
You can't unmute. Okay.
Oh, yes, Tim, the floor is yours.
Chairperson, I'm terribly sorry. I had to log out and log back in because, I don't know, somehow my system got stuck.
I thought as much.
I was listening. I read through the C list in preparation, and I was listening to the conversations. There's talk about this going back to the NA now, or are we voting on this morning? I just want to get clarity on that, Chair.
Oh, yes, the committee secretary is not going to, it's going to go to the NA, but it will not be coming back to us. Just confirm that.
Thank you, Chairperson. What is going to happen, Chairperson? We are going to accept, this C list that is going to culminate to our D bill. Then next week, we'll send the C list to the provinces so they can send their negotiating mandates. Then
final one.
Final one. Then we adopt the bill. Then when the bill is updated, then go to the House. Then it will be sent to the NA.
And it's not coming back to us in terms of processes. Yes.
The only time it means then if the NA then at least doesn't accept the changes. Then,
yes.
Yes.
But still, it will be subjected to mediation process.
Mediation process, yes.
Yes, yeah. I hope members are clear on the process.
Chairperson, sorry, I'm not clear. Are you saying that given the amendments made on the C list, it has to now go back to the NA to consider it before it comes to the NCOP for a vote? That's what I'm trying to clarify.
No, yes,
If
the process.
I may, Chairperson, if I
yes,
may.
Pumelala?
Chairperson, you would recall that this is a Section 76 bill. And
Yes.
so because it's a Section 76, we are now dealing with the processes of the NCOP. And what
Yes.
normally happens is that once the National Council of Provinces has passed the Section 76 bill with changes, in light of Section 76, it must go back to the National Assembly for concurrence before it goes to the President. If there were no changes at all that the Select Committee is proposing for the National Council of Provinces to pass, then it will go straight to the President once the NCOP has passed them. But because in this instance, there are going to be changes, so it has to go in line with the Constitution, it must go back for concurrence. Normally, if that concurrence is granted by the National Assembly, there is no need for the bill to come back or the mediation processes. But as the committee secretary has pointed out, if the National Assembly and the Portfolio Committee are not keen to accept the changes, then there is a mediation process before the other steps can take place. So what the honorable member is asking, it still requires the process of the National Council of Provinces passing the D version, which will be approved and supported by the final mandates when the next week process takes place. Once we get the final mandates, then the committee can vote and accept the bill in light of the mandates, and then it will go to the National Council of Provinces. And once it is passed, it must still then again go back for concurrence in terms of Section 76 to the National Assembly. Chairperson, I hope that makes sense.
Thanks for that clarity. Team, you are sorted out now.
Yeah, Chairperson, thank you very much for your kind indulgence. I now understand the process.
Oh,
Are we now going to just note this C list, or are we going to vote on it?
No, we vote on the C list and then we refer it back to the province for final mandate. That's what I will do now. We are going to put the C list to the committee members for a vote. And then once that has been done, we will then take it back to the province. Those that vote in favor of the adoption of the C list, can they do that? Can they indicate that by raise your hand option? Committee Secretary.
Thank you, Chairperson. I see the hands as follows. Honorable Mushodi, Honorable Landsman, Honorable Khaye, Honorable Dango, yourself, Chairperson, Honorable Miman, and Honorable Mamare Khan.
Thank you, Committee Secretary. Can members lower their hands? Those that can members lower their hands? Honorable Mushudi and Honorable Landsman. I take Honorable Mushudi is struggling a bit. Thank you. Those that are voting against, can they do that? Can they indicate that by using the raise your hand option? Committee Secretary.
Thank you, Chairperson. Those the hand that I see on the platform, it's Honorable Boshoff, Honorable Bratathes, Honorable Lond.
Thank you, Committee Secretary. Can we then request honorable members to lower their heads? Thank you, honorable members. Any abstention? Committee Secretary.
There's no abstention, Chair.
Thank you, Committee Secretary. Can you then give us the result?
Thank you, Chairperson. The results are as follows. Those that voted in favor are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 voted in favor, and voted against there are 3, and there's no abstention. Thank you, Chairperson. So in terms of the rules, Chairperson, then this C list, we can send it to the provinces because there are more than 6 provinces who supported, these processes. I mean, more than 5 provinces. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Committee Secretary, for the outcome. So therefore, the C list has the majority support, and as the result thereof, we'll then send it back to the province for a final mandate. So therefore, we can say with certainty that we have exhausted this item. So the secretary must just make sure that then it is sent to the province so that next week it is ready for the final mandate. Thank you, honorable members, for this item, and also the department for your effort in ensuring that there is coherence with the legal advice around the amendment brought and around the C list. Also, Advocate Van Breda and Ms. Phumelele Ngema. It has been quite a protracted process, so therefore it is only fair that a word of gratitude be conveyed to all of you. The second item, Committee Secretary.
Chairperson, the second item, as you alluded earlier, it is the presentation by the departments on its annual reports.
Thank you. Mr. Mokoena?
No, maybe I don't see Mr. Mokoena.
Let's check whether the TM is here or the minister. Oh, yes. The deputy minister is here, Honorable Bernice Swartz. I think it is only proper that we give over to the deputy minister to just give us some remarks in relation to these 2 items. We have just dealt with the first one. Of course, we understood that the DM was struggling with the connection. Over to you, DM.
Good morning, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. I've been here from the beginning of the meeting, Honorable Chair, and I've followed the meeting since it started, and we thank the presentation with its amendments, and we are also very excited and happy, Honorable Chair, that we have now reached this stage with the bill that it will go to the National Assembly and then procedurally also go to the NCOP. And I've also followed now with the voting, and we are happy that it will now be shared with provinces, and so that in terms of timeframes, we are hopeful that we will meet the timeframes, and before the end of the 6th Parliament, that all processes would have been concluded. But we thank everybody who has actually worked and contributed for us to reach the stage. Honorable Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister. The next item that we'll be dealing with now relates to the department's annual report. I think the DM will guide us who's going to lead that presentation.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I will give over to the DG to introduce the official that will present to us.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. DG.
Chairperson, thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister. I will be taking the committee through the report. It's got 5 sections, Chairperson. I will do section 1, 2, 3, and then the financial performance will be done by our CFO. Maybe let me start and load the presentation, Chair, so that I can take the committee through.
We always prefer, because the meeting is live, just to show your face, and then you can then, for the sake of the width. Thank you. It's important that the public must be able to see who's the person behind the voice. When the DM gives the closing remarks, I suspect she will do that too. Thank you. No, at least we saw the person behind the voice. Thank you.
Yeah. Can I be allowed to project the presentation, Chairperson?
Yes, you are allowed.
All right. Let me. No, let me disable those. Oh, no. Okay. Thank you very much, Chairperson. The report that we are sharing with the committee is for the period of 2022 to 2023. That is April to March. These are audited. This is an audited performance report, and I will try, Chairperson, to ensure that we cover as far as we can. Maybe to start with, Chairperson, we just want to take the opportunity to be able to present this to the committee. Maybe if we can go to slide 1, Chairperson. The way we've structured the presentation is got 5 areas, as I've indicated, where we're going to just highlight the mandate of the department and highlight the performance information, and also the performance of our 2 units, which is DPWI, which is the main vote, and the PMTE, financial performance. And then we're going to deal with the last item on PMTE, data's information. Chairperson, there is a strategic overview for DPWI that we've actually set out, which I think is available on our website. I won't bore the committee on this. We do have a vision and mission and values, as indicated in the slides. And then these are the things that we're striving towards. Chairperson, there could be gaps of so many things that we need to do to get to what we are saying here. And then the next slide, just to highlight, the department is split into 2, Chair, which has got the main vote, as I've indicated. And on the main vote, Chair, just to indicate, we highlight key main programs, which is the IGR, Intergovernmental Coordination, EPWP, Property and Construction Policy, and then Infrastructure South Africa and Prestige Management. And then the other vote is the PMTE, which covers mainly your core business, which is real estate and investment services, construction, real estate management, and then there's real estate information registry, plus facilities management. And then, Chair, in between those, we have shared services, which we share amongst ourselves, because PMT is not yet a complete entity, as it were. We sharing corporate services, governance, risk and compliance, and finance and supply chain management. So that is how currently our department is split. We'll have a DG, and then also the head of PMTE, and also the acting head of ISA. Now, when we look at the main vote, Chair, in respect of the mandate of the department, we provide what I would call coordination. That is a shared competency between ourselves and at national level and provincial governments on a movable asset register, construction and property management, and the implementation of GIAMA, as it were. And then the other area, Chair, that we are focusing on the main vote is the skills pipeline. We are responsible for providing capacity or building capacity for the state, and coordinate and manage the supply of built environment skills to support the state infrastructure delivery. The other one, Chair, is the issue of policy. As you are aware that we are busy now with the expropriation bill just recently before we start. So we also have to guide and regulate and promote the construction, property industries, and also look at standardization of many things that we are dealing with, and also promote the best practices in our sector. And then the other issue, Chair, as you may be aware, our major role also includes our contribution towards the work opportunities, which we drive through a very known program called Expanded Public Works Program, and which aims to create work opportunities as such. And then the other area that we deal with is the prestigious portfolio, which is a Prestige, Chair, where we really deliver the service to our clients like the presidency, the ministers, accommodation, members of parliament, and also the provision of state events such as state visits and also state funerals, including and not limited to SONA, as we are busy preparing here in Cape Town, the SONA preparation, and also the inauguration as we head towards the 7th administration. We form part of that particular activity. And then, as I've said, we also have PMTE. They've got a specific mandate, Chair, which is mainly your precinct development, where we are trying to look at integrated government precincts in urban and rural areas for improved government accommodation to enhance the service delivery. The other aspect is the issue of construction, where we plan and deliver a project through implementation and planning in line with our clients, using our professionals that we have in the department, and in some instances using agencies or implementing agencies of the state. And then the other one, Chair, for PMTE is estate management, where we provide and manage suitable office accommodation to many government departments, mainly national, and also some of their entities, as it were. And then the other major issue is the issue of asset register, where we have to maintain an accurate, reliable, and movable asset register. And then lastly is facilities management, where we ensure that our buildings and properties that are used by government departments are in the right state of use by our clients' departments. Now, let me just zoom into now section 2, where we really deal with the highlights, Chair, of the performance as audited by the AG. We just want to indicate, Chair, that we have processed release of land to support the land reform of the extent of 120,997.1 hectares, which is actually made up of 110 land parcels. So these we've released, Chair, for that program, so that land reform is actually realized as a true reflection of what this country or this government has been wanting to do. And then the other issue, Chair, that I want to highlight on is the issue of the SIPs that we've actually gazetted, about 88 SIPs that were gazetted, covering the fundamental infrastructure networks on energy, water, and sanitation, as well as digital communication infrastructure. These SIPs, they also cover human settlements and agriculture and agro-processing. Just to highlight, Chair, one of the SIPs, which you might have seen last week when the president was launching the Wele Sizwe bridges, is one of the SIPs that we actually have been working hard on, and we are on the ground now in the 6 provinces across the country. And then the other area, Chair, I want to highlight is the issue of the performance achievement, as it were, the opinion that we got on the asset register, which was unqualified. So that's one of the areas that I wanted to highlight. And then many others, Chair, it's just a matter of really indicating the values of the monies that we've spent in respect of maintenance, and also the money that was spent on the property portfolio. Now, the next one, Chairperson, is the next one is the indication that in respect of the job creation or work opportunities, while our target was 5 billion, Chair, we have managed to at least cover at least a 92% achievement in terms of the end of quarter 2 for 2023-2024. That is 4.6 million employment opportunities. And then the other one is the issue of the 1,100 beneficiaries that participated in the DPWI skills pipeline. These chairperson are quite very important, but I just want to highlight that at least on the professional side, we've actually engaged 18 candidates who obtained their professional registration in various disciplines within our built environment, and also the issue of artisan trainees that have obtained their trade certificates in various construction fields. And then the other area, Chair, which I want to also highlight as a part of performance was the issue of the vacancy rate. I just want to indicate that the baseline of DPSA, while it's 10%, we've actually achieved 11% vacancy rate, just to indicate that as we move, we are busy focusing on ensuring that these vacancies are all filled. Obviously, as you may know, Chair, with the austerity measures, we always would attempt to engage DPSA to motivate for those that are critical that needs to be filled as a country or the PES is actually being put under pressure. And then the other issue that we want to indicate, there were 506 cases, Chair, of allegations on fraud, corruption, and serious maladministration, which we investigated since 2009. And then 16 cases were investigated for the period of 2022-2023, which is the period of this annual report. And then we've spent at least 97% of our budget on operations of the department. Now, when we look at our performance level, Chairperson, in respect of the looking at all our programs, we've got about 11 programs. You'll see, Chairperson, that at least 5 of the programs, which is mainly your IGC, PWP, finance, race, and also RAIRS, we've achieved 100% performance in those. And I just want to indicate where we have failed to really reach the targets. You can see the under administration, we've only pushed up to 44%. And then on policy it's 50%, and CPM 20%, and then program 11, which is facilities management, 33%. I just want to indicate, Chair, that at the end we'll be covering the interventions that we might have been looking at going forward to fix that. And then when you go to now financial performance in respect of our vote, it might not correlate with the above graph. If you look at, for instance, program 1, we've achieved at least 79%, which does not correlate to 44% directly, because in the APP, Chair, we're only considering finance, GRC, and CS. But the Office of the Minister or Ministry, the DM, and the Teacher's Office, and many others are not part of the APP. That's why you'll find that those figures might not correlate. That is financial performance, comparatively speaking. And then if you look at where we had a challenge, Chair, is program 5. In terms of expenditure, you'll see we're set at 67%, which is caused by many other reasons. And then when you look at PMTE, you'll see that the main area of challenge for us is the issue of 1 FM, where we've really performed at 57% in terms of expenditure, and then CPM at 75%. The aim is to really move higher, but we want to indicate that on REMS we did very well, extremely, in terms of performance, and then race we've done very well in respect of that. And then the next performance information, just to indicate on administration, I'm just highlighting, Chair, and the committee members, the areas based on the KPI now. When you look at the compliance rate, there are such cases, for instance, in respect of the disciplinary cases we have, that takes longer owing to a number of postponements and changes in representatives from the ones that are representing our employees in most cases, and other enforcing circumstances. So there's been a challenge in respect of that, and we hope that with a renewed direction, we'll try to avert all this from going forward. And then the next one, Chairperson, is the issue on the SMS level. groupings in respect of the people with disabilities. It is a big challenge, Chair. While we try really to push this target, it's very difficult to get available applicants with disabilities, specifically in some specific areas. Is still a bit of a challenge, but we are going to be striving to move stronger to identify certain positions, maybe solely for this particular area, where we can actually try to push this percentage high. The other issue is the issue of business processes that we're trying to look at, especially on automation. Normally, Chair, we used to fill the leave form manually. So we're progressing well to nearing the finalization of the e-leave system, working with HR, also fleet management system, and then also the SCM, S&T project in progress, also in progress. And then we're just conducting now the user acceptance and testing. I believe this would have been completed by now. And then the other issue, Chair, is the issue of the business solutions for digitization. As you know, we are moving in the digital age, Chair. The department is not left behind. We are really trying to push to look at the same. And there was a challenge in respect of our procurement strategy in dealing with this matter. But and also there were some delays around the recommendations by SCM. And then when it comes to EPWP, the KPI is the number of reports that are produced that reflect with opportunities. And we do find a challenge, Chair, where the public bodies have been affecting our work opportunities that we've reported. And we are going to continue, Chair, to provide technical support to these public bodies to increase labor intensity of projects. I know that DDG, EPWP, Congo, has been busy engaging various provinces, municipalities in respect of this, but I believe that this will actually assist us, notwithstanding, Chair, that there's a huge cut that we are actually have been asked by National Treasurer to cut on EPWP, which is going to affect our performance or reach out to many communities. But I think that was a cabinet resolution that we had to sort of consider, but will indicate as we go forward to what extent is that going to affect us. But we continue, Chair, to push this item because this is where our people are really benefiting. And then the next one, Chair, is the property and construction industry policy research. The KPI there is the issue of public works bill. I just want to indicate, Chair, that the minister in the 4 weeks back addressed the workshop on the public works bill, where we invited all the stakeholders to come and assist us. I believe that this item will be finalized pretty soon. And I believe that like we have done with this one on expropriation, this one is going to be going smoothly after all the necessary issues have been addressed by the department. And then the other one is the issue of the Infrastructure Development Act. Here, Chairperson, the Infrastructure Development Amendment Bill was not introduced to Parliament due to the extensive consultations with NT, National Treasury. And I believe those processes have been engaging. I believe we will give further feedback in respect of finalization of this, Chairperson. Now, when we look at the EPWP, Chair, that table really highlights various sectors that are beneficiaries in respect of our spread of EPWP. And then we also indicate the number of public bodies that are actually working with us. But in total, it's about 352. But maybe to highlight, Chair, not the rest, where we have challenges is the infrastructure sector, where we only achieved at least 70.8%. There could be more that we would have done there to push more towards 100%. And then the other one is the non-state sector, which is community work program, where we achieve 85%. Other areas we really tried to push as far as we could to then putting us to the average of 96.8% on average. And then the other one is the, sorry, yeah. And then the work opportunity by sphere, where we separate the municipal and the provincial and national. So you could see that, Chair, a lot of public bodies are sitting at a municipal level, meaning that there's more focus that you need to actually highlight at that level, and then provincial and very limited at a level of national. But I just want to indicate our performance there in terms of achievement. We strive for 100%, but we just then fell short around 96.8 on average, then saying that at national level, we need to actually put our screws tighter, and then at municipal level. But on provinces, we are very well in terms of performance. We perform very well. And then in terms of the same chairperson by sphere of work opportunity, now by province, you'll see that some of the provinces have been doing well, others are really struggling. But just to highlight the Free State, we've had a challenge there where we achieved 58.3% in terms of annual target. And then the other one is the Mpumalanga, where we achieved at least 77.7%. And then others where we're sitting at just around 84%. Our aim is 100%. So we will indicate as well at the end what interventions are we looking into. On slide 17, Chair, construction project management. While the number of projects as a KPI within our grid construction period, we've really been having challenge here, Chair, which I believe the Minister and the Deputy Minister have been pushing hard, including the CFO with these weekly meetings to try and assist, especially on this area. The underperformance with regards to the completed infrastructure project was affected mainly, Chair. Some of it I might have not written it here, but I must indicate we've had the construction mafia becoming a problem in some of our projects not continuing. And then in some instances, the late approval of funding by the client's chairperson. You find that as we are now approaching the end of the financial year, the main departments who are supposed to provide us with funds, they tend to sort of delay the financial start, and then there are projects that we need to actually do, and we can't do when there's no funds because it then delays the process. There's also extensions requested by contractors, whether it's based on weather challenges. You might know, Chair, recently the weather patterns have not been favorable in South Africa, mainly in our provinces like Eastern Cape and KZN. So these extensions would have been forced by those circumstances, and also lack of access to certain areas and offices by the client. And then the issue of extension of time also due to sourcing and getting replacement contract. Here, Chair, you find that where a contract has been awarded mainly to construct and complete the project based on the timelines as per the appointment, where the contractor fails, whether due to financial or liquidation, then we have to get a replacement contractor. It would have been easy to just get it easy. We still have to follow the same process of procurement, which takes time. So those are issues that I think are contributing much bigger in respect of this. And then also there were areas where some of the bids have got to be cancelled due to the unresponsiveness of our people that are bidding. Sometimes we have to now re-advertise. And in terms of following CITP requirements, some of the tenders we have to wait 6 months before we could re-advertise to avoid a situation where there's abuse of this particular area. Contractors have indicated which are not performing. It's also a big issue. And then there's low progress by contractors due to financial difficulties. I must say this, Chair, that most of the contractors, particularly from the previously disadvantaged groupings, contractors, they find some challenges in some instances where they cannot be able to complete projects, for lack of a better word, which I would say it's actually pinned down to poor planning and or some challenges of getting finances from financial institutions. Now, when you look at the breakdown on projects completed per province, you'll see that Chair and the committee members, most of our projects in terms of breakdown, not necessarily by value, in terms of numbers, you have KZN, Eastern Cape, and by and large Gauteng, with most projects that have been completed. And then the other provinces, we've got quite a few in respect of what would have been completed. And then when we move to the real estate management services, the number of unutilized vacant state-owned properties letting out, we have developed, Chair, initial guidelines in respect of this, and I must say, Chair, with the recent arrangement, we've seen real estate or REMs really pushing hard to get unutilized vacant state-owned properties to be either let out to those prospective people who want to utilize it at better rental so that you can generate money. I think the CFO will highlight how much money we've made in respect of those, in respect of that area where we've let out. I know there's a bit of a review currently in terms of how we're going to go forward, but real estate indeed they are doing very well in this respect. And then there's such programs which are not even written here, Chair, in the presentation, things like ROTP that we are considering to utilize state properties, utilizing private sector money because the state is actually stressed. And then also there's a lot of released land for socio-economic activities. I know that the minister has indicated in the past that we've released some of the properties to the GPV NGOs in various areas in the country where we've given them houses. And then the real estate information register services, the number of national and provincial immovable asset registered assessed for compliance. In this area, we've made a lot of efforts towards addressing the audit issues and also improve on the audit outcome for the period that was under review. And then parallel to this exercise, the department also ran a process of upgrading physical verification tool as a result of migration of data and all system to the new system. It took us some time to actually do that. And then the next one is the area of concern, which is facilities management. You'll see when it comes to even financial performance, we did absolutely very bad there. This is where we look at the challenges that we have in our properties. But to look at the KPI specifically, the number of condition assessments conducted, identified, and prioritized. There's been some delays in this rollout in respect of the shortage or maybe the challenge of getting the teams to actually do this for us. And I believe that the DDG-FM and the head of PMTE, they are busy with a good program to get this done, which actually include as well our rolling out or maybe resuscitating of our workshops, specifically in Cape Town, at Durban and Gauteng. And then the number of critical components assessed to determine the conditions of those components, that's actually lifts and boilers. I think we've gone far there, Chair, in respect of this. Now at least we know how many lifts we have and what the conditions are and what needs to be done. And the boilers across the board also, we do have that. And I believe FM, they are working hard on this. Just to highlight, Chair, there's an issue of not getting enough money to really deal with FM as it were, because some departments, particularly the security cluster, we have got most of these assets. There's a challenge of them providing money to us so that we can be able to deal with these matters in a way that is proper. I think I'll jump slide 21 and 22 because it just talks about the spread of the improvements. Maybe let me just go to the interventions on slide 23, Chairperson. We've adopted 10 principles to improve performance, maybe to indicate under change management is one of them. And we have appointed all champions in respect of this so that we are able then to drive this program on change management as a department, because there's been a lot of things that are changing in the department and also the approaches in terms of what we are trying to do. In terms of service delivery improvement program, we have completed all the SLAs. And then in terms of the business process management, that is in progress. And then the ERP fast track program, the enterprise resource tool that we actually engaged in, it's Archipus. I just want to say that some of the modules that we are utilizing are slowly coming into the play, but I think I want to indicate to the committee that there's some level of then reviewing and looking at this item, because it seems like it is the main thing that would drive performance in the department. But I believe both the administration and ministry will provide us with guidance in respect of this. And in respect of macro business and delivery model at DPW, this is in progress as part of development of ADGs and business process management. In terms of ethics, compliance, infrastructure, and consequence management, the position of the ethics officer chairperson has already been advertised, and I believe that with the approval of the shortlisting, we should be able to do some interviews in respect of this. But I just want to indicate, currently the DDG acting within this area is being used as an ethics officer at the moment. And we believe in terms of complying with audit requirements, we need to get an appointed ethics officer in respect of this to assist the department in this area. Around contractor management and monitoring capacity, we've completed consultations on the document, and we are busy finalizing that. And then organization-wide skills assessment that we've completed, Chair. And then in respect on the organization's-wide maturity and strategic management, this is in progress, Chair. And I believe that very soon we should be able to finalize it to the area that we are looking into. And the last one, Chair, in terms of this principle is the issue of a clean audit. There are some improvements that are realized, but I just want to say, Chair, so far with the main vote, DPWI, I think we achieved the unqualified audit. And then our biggest challenge has been PMTE. To which then I hope that with the review, the renewed energy and drive, we hope that the new head of PMTE will hit the ground running to make sure that these disclaimers and also qualified audits are the things of the past, obviously understanding the challenges that we have, Chairperson. And then in repositioning of DPWI, this repositioning strategy seeks to develop a guiding framework to reposition the Department of Public Works to play its envisaged role as a driver of infrastructure development and as a custodian of the biggest property portfolio in South Africa. And I believe that, Chair, just to highlight to you, we have seen that some of the departments have become, if you like, fed up with us to try and say, let's do our own custodianship, to the extent that they even refuse to give us money. I think with the engagements with the key security cluster DGs, it will be important for the department to really regain its confidence and re-drive the mandate so that these departments are all helping us going forward. Chair, maybe I will end there just to indicate that the CFO will take us through the financial performance. And then I've got all the DDGs with me in the platform in the event there are questions. And also we do have the Deputy Minister. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, DG. CFO?
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, DG. I'll go through the two sets of the financial performance. The first one is the main vote, and the second one is PMTE.
Your face first, please.
Yeah, my face, they can see. Sorry, Chair. Okay. Thank you. Chairperson, the audit outcome for the main vote, as the DG has indicated, we have maintained unqualified audit opinion for the last 3 financial years, which is a good maintenance in terms of that. However, there was an emphasis of matters when it comes to impairment of receivables. But other than that, the main vote is doing well from the audit perspective. When it comes to financial performance, Chair, we had a total budget of 8.1 billion. and we spent 7.9 billion with a variance of 242 million. So in total, our spending pattern was at 97%. But just to highlight a few areas of concern, Chair, compensation of employees, we underspent by 82 million, which is a concern, but the DG has already highlighted in terms of the vacancy rate and the reasons thereof. So from the spending percentage point of view, we spent 86% for compensation of employees. For goods and services also, there was underspending of 50 million, which was as a result of cost containment that we implement as the department, which resulted to expenditure of 89%. The other key highlight, Chair, it's public cooperation and private enterprise, where there was an underspending of 100 million. That was due to this transfer that was received very late in the year of last financial year, where all the conditions that were set by Treasury, they were only cleared in Feb. So basically, we're left with 1 month to spend that 100 million, which was also approved in November by National Treasury. So it was for project preparation for ESA, so we could not spend that money. Hence, you see a significant underspending in that area. So, Chair, if you also compare our final budget of the previous financial year, you can see that there was a decrease of the budget because of budget cuts that National Treasury have been implementing. So in the last financial year, if you compare with the year that we are reporting to you, we were having 8.4 billion budget, but the year that we are reporting, it was 8.2 billion. So there was a decrease as a result of budget cuts. Chair, I've already explained the narration for the reasons of spending and underspending. So now I'm looking at the revenue and expenditure. So in terms of revenue, in terms of annual appropriation, it's 8.2 billion for the year we are reporting, whereas in the previous year, as I indicated, was 8.4 billion. So there was the decrease of 201 million due to budget cut. Departmental revenue, there was 33 million that we received, and in the previous year was 15.5 million, with a difference of 17 million. That was due to interest that we earned from the money that was given to IDT. For expenditure, Chair, we spent 7.9 billion. Then on compensation of employees, in terms of economic classification, it was 514 million for goods and services, 429 million for transfers and subsidies, 6.9 billion. So the surplus that we had at year end was 275 million, which is not far apart from the previous financial year, where we had a surplus of 287 million. However, there was a slight decrease in terms of the surplus if you compare the 2 years. Next slide, Chair, it's on statement of financial position, where our assets was 381 million. If you compare with the previous financial year, we were sitting at 566 million. Then the details of the assets, we are having two types, is current assets and non-current assets. Then under current assets, there are details. For current assets, we had 300 million made up of unauthorized expenditure, which, Chair, has not changed. It has remained as is for a number of years. There are engagement with National Treasury to condone that unauthorized expenditure. So the process is in progress in terms of dealing with the unauthorized expenditure. Cash and cash equivalents, Chair, is 255 million. Prepayments is 2.2 million. Receivables 42.8 million. Then the non-current assets, Chair, it's 81 million. Then liabilities 633 million, mainly made of voted funds to be surrendered to revenue fund, as I indicated, the surplus that we have, which we have to surrender to Treasury. I've already explained the reasons for that amount to be surrendered to Treasury, mainly because of the 100 million that I indicated, compensation of employees as well as goods and services. So in terms of the net assets, we have 3 million. And if I move to the disclosure notes, Chair, I won't really go into details. These are just disclosure notes that we disclose in our financial statements. Unauthorized expenditure, Chair, as I indicated, these are the transactions that are more than 5 years old. The engagement with Treasury is underway. So there were no new transactions for unauthorized expenditure. So these are historical transactions. As I indicated, we are engaging with National Treasury to resolve these unauthorized expenditure, which will eventually go to SCOPA for condonement. Irregular expenditure, Chair, we have 120 million, which we as at year end of 31st March 2023, this was the status. We did write to National Treasury with a view to request for condonement. However, they referred it back to us to say the accounting officer can handle the condonement part of this irregular expenditure in line with the framework that is set by National Treasury. And the processes are underway in dealing with this irregular expenditure. Then fruitless expenditure, the opening balance, Chair, was restated with an amount of 54 million for the beautification of schools project for the department. So, Chair, here there was an investigation that was done. The outcome has been provided by our GRC. The accounting officer is currently dealing with the matter of this program that was done, so that we can take consequence management in this area. Then for PMTE, which is section 4, which is second part of the financial performance for PMTE, the audit outcomes for PMTE, as you have seen, Chair, in terms of the trend, the department was given a disclaimer in 21-22 financial year, which is the worst audit outcome that an organization can get. But with a lot of work that was put, we managed to improve from disclaimer to qualification. However, as the DG has indicated, that a lot of work is being put in place to address these qualification matters. But as the DG indicated, the immovable asset register was not qualified, is not part of the qualification, which was the biggest area that caused the disclaimer in the previous financial year, which, Chair, gives really a platform, as the DG indicated. We are working hard now to generate revenue out of these assets, and the audit outcome on asset register give really credibility to say we have an asset register that is credible, that we can use now for operation purpose. Then in terms of the financial performance for PMT, in terms of the summary, particularly for revenue, the PMT had a projected budget of 16.8 billion for revenue items, which then the actual receipt was 16.2 billion, which is 96% recovery rate. So if one were to compare with the previous financial year, we had a budget of, or projected revenue of 18.1 billion, and the actual receipt was 16.3 billion, which was 90% recovery rate. So there was an improvement if you compare 96% of the current year that we are reporting compared to the previous year. Then for municipal services, which is a recoverable amount, we had a budget of 5.1 billion in terms of revenue that we were expecting from clients. The clients only paid 2.9 billion, which was a 58% recovery rate, which is has decreased if you compare with the previous financial year of 77%. clients are not paying. They mention number of reasons. Among other reasons that clients will raise is the issue of budget cuts that have been implemented across government departments. However, there are engagements, as the accounting officer has indicated, that this will be a focus area to engage all departments that are owing PMTE. Then the summary of expenditure outcome for PMTE. Current payments, the total budget was 18.7 billion and the expenditure was 17.5 billion, which is 94% spending. But if you were to compare with the previous year, we were having a budget of 18 billion. This expenditure was 17.5. In terms of the expenditure, there is no much difference because we spent 17.5 billion previous year, and in the previous year it was 17.5, and this current year also it's 17.5. However, from the overall percentage, we decreased in terms of spending because in the previous year we were sitting at 97%. The year that we are reporting, it's 94%. However, I must highlight the reasons for that. If members can look at the municipal services recovered, as I indicated, it's sitting at 74%. So in terms of expenditure, because this is an amount that we recover from clients who we spend and recover. So the spending was 3.7 billion against the budget of 5.1 billion. As a result of that, then it has decreased our spending pattern to 94% if you compare with the previous financial year. Then for capital payments, which is infrastructure, this is the area that the accounting officer also indicated earlier on. But just to highlight the details, on capital recoverable, that's where we recover money from clients' departments where they fund a project. We had a budget of 2 billion and we spent 1.4 billion with a variance of 647 million, representing 68% spending. If one were to compare with the previous year, we spent 73% of that line item. However, the accounting officers indicated the intervention that have been put in place to improve spending in this area. Capital non-recoverable, this is the budget that we don't recover from clients' departments where we are funding infrastructure projects with a budget of 1.1 billion and we spend 1.2 billion with a variance of 28 million. So at face value, Chair, you may say we overspent, but the PMT as a whole did not overspend. So this was a good progress in terms of pushing projects because if we improve on spending on project, it helps the organization and our clients also become happy when projects are completed on time. Chair, if you compare with the previous year, we spent 61%. So in the year that we are reporting, it's 102%, which is a significant improvement. I think we'll continue to improve. For client capital, as I indicated, there are a number of challenges because clients themselves, they don't confirm budget on time. Hence, it's not easy to fully spend the client budget when it comes to projects. So the overall spending percentage for PMTE, it's sitting at 92%, Chair, which there is a slight increase of 1% if you compare with the previous year where we spent 91%. I've already explained the analysis, Chair. I will move straight to slide 42, which is financial position, particularly assets, where our current assets, it's 3.5 billion. For the year we are reporting, whereas in the previous year was 4.6 billion. The main reason for a decreased Chair is as a result of receivables where clients paid some of the amounts. However, we had to impair some of the amounts that clients did not pay. That's the reason for the decrease on our receivables. Then on non-current assets, Chair, we have 149 billion of value of our assets. This talked to immovable asset registers, as I indicated earlier on, to say the good audit outcome really give credibility to our asset register with a value of 149 billion. So one can see that as the organization, there is no entity in the country that can have such a big portfolio with a high value. So sorting our assets is part of the thing that the head of PMTE is leading and the DG. So the total assets then for PMTE is 152 billion, which there was a slight decrease, as I indicated for in the previous category of assets. If you compare with the previous year, then it was 155 billion. This year it's 153 billion. So it's a slight decrease, Chairperson. Then financial position in terms of liabilities, 11.8 billion. Against 11.9 billion of the previous financial year, so there was a slight decrease. Then the main highlights, Chair, because there are too many transactions, I will just highlight few, particularly the bank overdraft that has increased from 851 million to 1.8 billion. This is as a result of clients not paying on time, Chair. Where we provide services such as leases, we will pay leases, we will pay municipalities, then clients don't pay on time. In some instances, they say they don't have budget because they experience budget cut. So this is a problem that PMTE is facing, where we are expected to provide services, but we don't get money on time. So it has an impact on our bank overdraft. That's the main area, Chair, that I thought I must highlight. But the total liabilities, it's 14.5 billion. In the previous year was more or less the same amount, so there was no significant change. Then the net assets accumulated surplus is 138 billion. So from the financial position point of view, the PMTE is doing well. However, from cash flow point of view, it's not doing well, but the asset portfolio really, it's looking good in terms of the rent value. If I move to the next slide, Chair, where it's a summary or the highlight of statement of financial performance, the PMTE, Chair, received augmentation revenue from DPWI, which decreased from 4.3 billion to 3.9 billion. This is as a result also of budget cuts that we are experiencing. Also, PMT is affected by this. Chairperson, I must highlight, PMT is managing a portfolio of properties of about 80,000 properties, which I assume is the biggest in the country. But the revenue that we get, or the money that we get from clients, it's almost not even 50% of what we're supposed to be receiving. With a maintenance backlog of about 33 billion, it's something that we are also engaging with National Treasury, but we do understand the financial constraints that the government is facing. Hence, then sorting of our properties to generate more revenue is of high priority to address these challenges. Then our impairment loss on receivables decreased from 2.4 billion to 1.6 billion. Chair, is as a result of improved also receivables where clients paid in some instances, but not in all instances. Then we reported then a deficit of 1.5 billion, which is less than 1.6 billion of the previous financial year. Then statement of financial performance analysis, Chair. I've already addressed most of the issues. I will just deal with the totals. The total revenue, Chair, is 16.8 billion. For the year we are reporting, I've already indicated the comparatives, so I don't have to repeat that, Chair. Total expenses 8.4 billion with a deficit of 1.5 billion, as I've already indicated. Irregular expenditure, Chair, the same comments that I made under DPWI are the same in PMTE, where we wrote to National Treasury with a view to condone all transactions, but that was referred back to the accounting officer as the delegated authority in line with the compliance framework to make a decision on such issues. So as I indicated earlier, we are busy with that process because the accounting officer is still new. We are engaging him so that he can fully embrace and understand the history behind this irregular expenditure. Fruitless expenditure, Chair, is the area also that we are currently dealing with. We hope in the next reporting period, some of the transaction will be addressed because this transaction must be investigated first, hold people accountable, then we can assess whether it must be written off or it must be recovered from officials. Then the last section, Chair, it's debtors information for PMTE. Yes. This is the amounts that clients are owing PMTE. I'll go a little bit in details in this table, Chair, so that you have a full understanding. So accommodation, it's a state-owned, is where clients are occupying state properties. So, Chair, this is the area that I was talking about. Clients are occupying almost 70% or 76% of our asset portfolio. And the revenue that we generate is not even a quarter of what we're supposed to be receiving. And over and above that, clients still don't pay us when we bill the amount that was approved by Treasury, which is really not that much. So the opening balance was 1.7 billion. Mainly, it's correctional services that was owing us and other clients, but the significant amount was correctional services. However, against that opening balance, we only managed to receive 158 million. But against then the claims that we issued in the current year, it's we issued invoices of 5.4 billion, and the amount that we received was 5.1 billion. So current invoices, Chair, we did improve because we managed to recover 94% of the invoices that were issued in the year, in the financial year that we are reporting. Then accommodation, which is private leases, I think there are no significant worries there. However, the recovery rate is 91%. We are still engaging clients' departments where they didn't pay. Then municipal services, that was the lowest in terms of recovery, where it's sitting at 66%. I've already explained the reasons for that. PACE is infrastructure project where we recover from clients. The recovery rate was 91%. Recoverable CA, those are special projects. The recovery rate was 67%. So, Chair, in the total outstanding balance at year end that we are reporting was sitting at 9.5 billion. So, Chair, if you compare with the bank overdraft that I reported earlier on of 1.8 billion, you can see, Chair, that if clients can even pay a quote of 9.5 billion, we will not be in we will not report a bank overdraft. So our bank overdraft is linked to clients that are not paying us. Then, Chair, this is just the age analysis, but I'm not going to details. But what is important, Chair, for noting of this committee is that the challenge that we are having, it's previous years' outstanding balances, which is sitting at 6.8 billion. So the significant part of our debtors, it's relates to previous years. The current year, Chair, where clients did not fully pay, it's sitting at 1.8 billion, which is not that extremely bad, but compared to previous years, it's really bad. Hence, the accounting officer, even DM and minister, they are intervening in terms of meeting these clients to find a solution to resolve these long outstanding debtors. Chairperson, we then recommend that the Select Committee note the presentation of the annual report for the year ended 31st March 2023. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, CFO, for the presentation on the financial performance. What we will then do now is to invite members of the select committee to engage with the presentation. I've noted Honorable Dango. You can take the floor, Honorable Dango.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I just need to understand why transfers were effected to the IDT. Is the IDT now a standalone body, or is it being funded by the state? Two is, I think the classification of clients to other state departments is a bit misleading because it's other state departments, so it's coming from the same budget, the global budget but to term them as clients is meaning that they private clients. I don't think they're private governments. It's other government departments, municipalities, and provinces, and I think we should just find another determination for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Dango. Can you request the DG to take the presentation down? Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Khai. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Greeting to the Deputy Minister and members of the committee, DG, and officials of the department. Chair, we welcome the presentation on the annual performance plan, the annual report, sorry. I just want to also ask some questions, just that on the highlights. One did not have an opportunity to look at the actual annual report, not just the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation. So that in terms of the highlights, we contrast that to the actual targets. We might be happy to see those highlights in terms of achievement if we have not seen the actual targets. So maybe at some stage on my own, I will be able to go back and make comparison between the achievement and the targets that were set in the APP. Chair, with regard to the key performance areas on the administration, with regard to the compliance rate, it says that the disciplinary cases takes longer. I just want to know at least what is the average, say, in terms of time, those cases, when you say they're taking longer. Because this is what is also disturbing in the public service. You know, in the private sector, if you've committed an offense, I mean, in 1 month, the whole process is done. Then you can take the case outside the workplace, CCMA or bargaining council. But in the public service, it takes sometimes months, if not years, just to indicate if the average, if we could get that information. And also on the designated groups, the department is striving to reach the target of 2%. The challenge there is the unavailability of the suitable applicants. We have a department in the presidency chair that is responsible for women and people with disabilities. I don't know if there is any interaction between the department and the department, the DPWI, and the department in the presidency, so that because they deal with people with disabilities, they would know perhaps they will qualify for those SMS positions. I'm not saying that is a solution, but if they are working on this particular target with the department of, the department in the presidency. There's something, Chair, with regard to Program 3 on the EPWPs. When you look at the report of the AG, it commends the department that the target is on track. But then there's a point that says the credibility of the achievement is questionable. Maybe the department could clarify that. We have not met as a select committee, unlike the NA portfolio committee. They would usually meet with in preparation for BRRR. But we don't have that opportunity. But maybe the department could clarify what the AG means when she says the achievement is questionable. But also on the EPWP workers, I just want this is just maybe a small point. Whether is there any supervision of these EPWP workers? Because once they're doing the work, some of them, their work is very commendable. But you find that sometimes there's no supervision. I've seen them in fact, we were in my PCO this weekend. Some members of the organization were giving them a term called Gosia Kambalala, meaning that people that will sleep on the job. And most of the time you find them doing that, even here at Laboria Park. There was one that I thought maybe this person is dead, to shout, "Are you alive?" Then he jumped because he was just sleeping. At Acacia Park, you find them. There's a school there, Chair, at Acacia Park. You see them converging around that particular school. I was told that they are able to access the Wi-Fi from that school. So you find them gathering around, they're not working busily with their cell phones, accessing the Wi-Fi at that particular school. So I just want to check from the manager who's responsible for, I know it's not only the allocation that is given to provinces and department, but is there any supervision of the EPWP workers, Chairperson? Then there's this issue of the Infrastructure Development Act. I see that this bill was submitted, Chair, to the Cabinet, but now it has not yet been introduced to Parliament because there's some issues that are being dealt with the National Treasury. One is confuses that perhaps before these are sent to Cabinet for approval, there are interactions and consultation with National Treasury and other interested parties. Why would the Cabinet approve the bill, but then it can't be introduced to Parliament? Because my understanding that when it is approved by the Cabinet, then it's ready to be introduced to Parliament. If I can get clarity on that. Back on the issue of EPWPs, I see that the DG has explained the issue of Free State, why it has achieved 58.3%. But I also see that there are provinces that in terms of the allocation, it's Eastern Cape is 109.9%, KZN 116%. What does that mean? Does it mean because it's more than 100%, then they had to get money from those that have spent less? If we can get a clarification on that. Then on program 3, it's also disappointing that there's a 20% achievement. And the reason there are the late approval of funding by client departments after the awarding, and also other reasons. But the DG has also added the issue of the construction mafias as a reason. But when you look at the AG report, maybe, I don't know, Chair, I may be taking a lot of your time, but the reasons that are put by AG are different from those that, because there would be projects that some of them are more than 3 years. In fact, she even has pictures of some of the projects that the department is involved in, and if you look at the report, the department is not taking any responsibility except shifting the responsibility to the client departments. And in the report of the AG, it even says that some clients or some user departments, they now are taking responsibility of construction away from the DPWI because of the delays on the part of, in fact, they even make an example about Parliament itself, that Parliament has decided that the DPWI is not going to be involved in the restoration of Parliament. That responsibility is a responsibility of Parliament. Parliament is going to engage service providers to take that responsibility. And it's not only Parliament, but according to the AG, other departments are doing the same now because of the delays on the part of the department. Chair, on the issue of the financial report, the compensation of employees, it says there's an unspent balance of 83 million. And this is due to the delay in filling of the critical positions. But the DG was also saying that they are trying to talk to the Department of Public Administration so that they are allowed to fill in this critical position. But then already there's an underspending of 83 million. Some departments' budget were cut, but on this one, initially this was 10 million. It was no, it's another one. But this one, there was no budget cut, but instead they not utilizing the fact that they were, I think in terms of the adjustment, they got more, whilst others, what other department were having cuts. But this one, it was given more money, but still they could not fill in the critical positions. If we could get explanation with regard to that, as well on the machinery and the equipment. They say there's a delay in acquisition of assets or that, but not delivered at the end of the year. So if we could also get explanation with regard to that. In the AG report, it talks about also in the report of the AG, talks about the hectares or of the land distributed. The AG talks about the target of 1.5 million, but to date, the actual performance with regard to this is 173,243 hectares. The target is 1.5 million, but the actual performance is 173,243 hectares of land released. And the AG concludes that this will be not on track to achieve the MTSF target. Another issue that we need clarity on that is raised by the AG relate to the Telkom Towers complex, which was purchased for 694 million in 2016. However, only one out of 9 buildings forming part of the complex is utilized. If we could get the update on that. On the IE regular expenditure, the HSA has now been increasing. It was up in 2019, then it went down, but it's going up again in 2022, 2023. Other than applying for the condonation, we don't hear what consequence management has taken place in the department and PMTE. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, Honorable Khai, for the questions. Honorable Pratasar.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Khai has done a lot of good work and it's covered many of my points, but I just want to emphasize a couple. Can you hear me, Chairperson?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
But get closer to the mic.
Yeah, Chairperson, is that better?
That's great.
Okay. Chairperson, just on the EPWP, I fully agree with Honorable Khai. We need a report from the department that effectively tells us a detailed report. It's going to be a lot of work, but we need a detailed report that says EPWP workers are deployed where, what their tasks are, and what they've achieved. Because many of the institutions that I deal with in eThekwini, including government departments like Home Affairs, Police, SAPS, they get EPWP workers deployed there, but there's never really a very good indicator as to what work they've actually done and what work they've actually achieved. So that's the first thing on EPWP. Secondly, we need a report from the department in terms of ghost workers in EPWP. How many workers are there that are being paid that actually don't exist and not on the ground? Okay, and then what the consequence management in regard to that is, because surely there should be somebody monitoring such a process. Then in regard to the parliamentary villages, Chairperson, a lot of money was spent to secure the parliamentary villages. And I say secure in inverted commas, because there have been many reports at all the parliamentary villages of people from outside of the parliamentary village getting into the parliamentary villages, going from house to house, begging, asking for things. And so the whole point is, if you're spending all this money and all this SAPS personnel on parliamentary villages, why are people still able to walk in and come walking around and asking members of parliament for donations and that sort of thing? So I'd also like to get the department to do a full audit of the parliamentary villages to see who stays there and who should be there and who isn't. That was done some time ago, but I think the time has come to do it again, especially as we move into the 7th Parliament. Maybe just set that as a target for the start of the 7th Parliament, that there is a full audit of everybody who stays in there. Chairperson, I'll end off by saying that I was a victim of that. There were some young children in Acacia Park who actually got into my old Mercedes-Benz and burnt it to the ground in Acacia Park. That's now being confirmed. And the question is, why were those children allowed to be running around Acacia Park unsupervised? And that's the kind of thing going on in some of the parliamentary villages. I'll leave it at that, Chairperson, other than to say that the DA notes the report. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Honorable Team. Honorable Khai.
Yeah, just an issue that I forgot to raise, but Honorable Protestant has raised it, but I just want to remind the committee and the department. It's an issue that we raised in the last meeting where the department tabled the annual report, the previous annual report. It seems like, but also it relates to the parliamentary villages. And again, the AG is raising the same issue that she raised previously. On the report of the AG, it says the Parliamentary Villages Management Board, the Director General of Public Works is the standing chairperson of the board. However, there is currently no functional board. This instability has, amongst others, resulted in no AFS annual financial statement being submitted to AG since 2013, board not being held accountable for the 11 million transfer received from DPWI annually, neglected state of facilities, lack of action and resolutions of long-standing problems, safety concerns, lack of accountability in contracts. So those are the issues that are raised by the AG. But also the point that is raised by Honorable Protestant is that what I've observed is that even the police in the villages, all they're concerned about are the cars that are coming in and out, not the people who are out of the cars. Those are who are just walking in and out. So they're not subjected to the same scrutiny as those who are driving into the villages. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Khai. I see. Honorable Dango, is that Liga's hand?
Person, yes, it's a legacy hand.
Thank you, Ambassador. Yeah, just one from my side.
It's a legacy and Chief.
Yes, Honorable Landsman.
I'm just saying it was a legacy and.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, that's great. Just one question relating to that return of 100 million from ISA. What will be the impact of that on the Infrastructure South Africa's projects and also it might be important probably at some point just to get an update in terms of the projects run by the Infrastructure South Africa, but also maybe just an update the relationship between Infrastructure South Africa. I know that at some point it was located in the president. The synergy between the department and that unit, is it sorted out? Other than that, let's hand over back to the department to respond to the question raised by honorable members. I don't know whether the DM starts or the DM will assign those questions to the DG.
Honorable Chair, thank you very much, and honorable members. I will allow the DG and the officials to respond, and then I will give my inputs, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, DG. DG?
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for the questions. I'll try to answer most of them. Where I've missed out, I will request that the colleagues to come in. Maybe let's start with Honorable Dango. The issue of IDT, why we transfer money to IDT. IDT is a Schedule 2 entity of Public Works. meaning that it reports under our ministry in terms of responsibility. We did give them the financial support of 70.3 million because they didn't have money to deal with their operations. And also, I want to indicate that IDT as an entity also is utilized by Public Works as our implementing agent on the EPWP.
It's a double attack.
Right? That is the one on IDT. Now, moving to Honorable Rai, the issue on the compliance rate in respect of vacancies, it takes longer. Maybe he wanted to know the average.
It's high, not Rai.
High, yes. Thank you. I'm sorry, Chairperson. In terms of the compliance in respect of the cases of discipline, just to give an average, Chair and the committee, some of these cases, they take at least on average 1 to 2 years. Others could be longer. And based on appeals and many other reasons that might be coming every time. So I think the average is between 1 and 2 years, but we really are trying hard to ensure that the cases are done as quick as possible, because that's basically the logic to actually follow. But in some instances, you find that where the cases are a bit difficult, especially when we have, for instance, dismissed individuals, they will try by all means to try and drag us to court, and that then takes us too long. Now, in respect of the designated group, Chairperson, I think we are taking guidance and the direction from Honorable Rai in terms of ensuring that we reach out to the presidency, particularly the ministry where they deal with women with disabilities. But I do want to indicate that we are taking guidance. We will look into that as part of assisting us to really identify this kind of groups. In respect of EPWP, where AG commends us for really doing well in that area, but then at the same time, there's an element of indicating that there might be other challenges. I just want to indicate that, Chair, that as we use these public bodies are sometimes not having all the information in their hands, particularly the NPOs that we use. So I think the plan is to then make sure that while we have a system that we are using, to ensure that we have a comprehensive system that can actually log each, for instance, participant in terms of having a file that covers everything, so that we're able then to provide that information that EPWP, AG might want to get in some instances. It was quite a huge and a lot of information. And in terms of the supervision of EPWP, Chair, it's one area that was actually highlighted even by ministry and even Deputy Minister and other ministers to say that EPWP workers, they need to be monitored. I think we have engaged with the DDG EPWP to look at a way of making sure that these activities of EPWP participants is actually monitored to the level where we don't find people who are sleeping in a job and trying to connect Wi-Fi as the Honorable was indicating. But I think the important part is the monitoring and evaluation of this particular area. I think we're taking guidance, and I believe we'll provide a forward briefing as soon as we see things working. Now, in respect of the Infrastructure Development Act around ESA, I will leave that to the head of ESA just to guide us on that one. And also I will couple that with the impact of the reduction of 100 million from ESA taken by National Treasury. Mametsi can then lead us in terms of really engaging and also assisting the chairperson to indicate some of the projects that they are dealing with at a particular point in time when she speaks once I've finished. And then the EPWP percentage, meaning I believe Digital Congo is connected. Yeah, you can just explain that through the chair.
And so when we come back,
the chairperson. And then the issue where the departments are taking work from public works, including parliament. I just want to report, Chair, that what is good is that I have luckily spent some time with the STP, which is the Secretary to Parliament, Mr. Kolile George, in respect of this matter, particularly in Parliament. And I understood where he came from in terms of the approach that he wanted to take in respect of that. And we also understand the frustrations many other clients have in respect of this particular area. But when you really zoom into it, Chair, what we want to be very reluctant on as public works is to erode our mandate and delegate it to people who are supposed to enjoy good accommodation that we provide so that they can also be able to deliver their mandate instead of focusing on infrastructure. So I believe that when it comes to the delivery of, for instance, the Ben Parliament, it was our minister who gave that authority for Parliament to proceed with that project. I just want to indicate we are working with them on that project, and we've appointed DBSA. And in fact, as early as yesterday, I was indicating to them that we need to move speed to appoint the contractor so that the Parliament is actually able to get accommodation, notwithstanding that in some of the buildings, for instance, like Max Building and many other areas, we need to move away some of the clients like Department of Rural Development, particularly the Office of the Surveyor General, to a new building, which I think our REMS team and the region here in Cape Town are far ahead in terms of getting the alternative accommodation to actually open up Parliament to get space. I think that is a very important area to indicate. But I just also want to indicate that in respect of the same, some of the other DTGs, when I actually engaged with them recently in the cabinet, you could realize that the morals face the same thing where there's challenges. But where some of them are complaining, Chair, it's exactly what the CFO was saying. They don't give us money to expect us to do wonders. So I believe that one needs to be managed. I believe we need to jack up our activities so that we have a situation that we can follow up with them. The issue of the unspent of filling of vacant posts. I know the DDG is in the platform with us, but just to indicate, Chair, that 83 million could have been affected by quite a number of things. As you know, that when the new ministry came in, they wanted to understand as well what the department is all about, to the extent that there was some moratorium made to give them an opportunity to actually understand all those issues. But just safe to say that over and above that, there's about over 50 positions, which are mainly 43, which are actually SMS, which has got, like, for instance, 12 chief directors and also 31 directors that I would confirm in this committee that we're at an advanced stage to finalize the shortlisting and actually do interviews soon, because both the minister and DM, I believe they've approved all the panels that are necessary to fill that. I think that will make a huge difference. However, the issue of the expenditure has been based on that. And then also the contributing factor, we also get these moratoriums of filling vacancies in terms of trying to assist the fiscus as it's got too much pressure. So in other words, it's also part of what DPSA has actually proposed to say, let's not fill positions, let's motivate such. I think from our side, I think there's over 200 positions. For instance, I've asked the DDG Corporate Services to prioritize and get the motivation to DPSA so that we are able then to move ahead of this, because these vacant positions are causing a void in respect of the department delivering in its mandate. And then when it comes to the other area of machinery and equipment not delivered, I think it is important to indicate to the committee that any payment can only be done once we've received any good. So we can't pay before we receive the good. If there are areas where it's actually a bit of a challenge that delays our performance, I think it's one thing that our SCM has got to assist and check up the process so that those service providers are paid in time when they've actually delivered the service, so that we avoid a situation where we pay money when the government has not received the good. And then I will then, on the issue of telecom towers, I do agree it was procured at a particular point in time, but maybe to indicate that there's been quite a lot of challenges, not necessarily from public works only. You might remember, Chair, that the reason why we purchased telecom towers, it was for the same reason that we wanted to collapse at least 15 leases from subs, so that we can then take all subs to one building. And to do that, it has been a mammoth task, and I believe that the new head of PMTE and the head of REMS, Ms. Nyeleti Makubela, they are actually working very hard to ensure that these things are finalized. I believe that they will add if there's anything that needs to be done. And also to confirm, Chair, that even AG has actually written to us on material irregularities to say, look, we've purchased this building, but you are not utilizing it. I mean, we've actually provided an answer to them in respect of this. I believe we should be finalizing everything in that respect. Around the parliamentary villages, there is an issue that I want to raise, Chair, as you appreciate. I started on the 1st of January. I might not have the full detail, but what I know is the following. The chairperson of the parliamentary villages committee is the DG indeed. However, the report that I had just previously, as I was consulting with Prestige, there's been a big challenge, Chair, which I think we can discuss with members where possible, where members simply don't attend our meetings and we don't then get the quorum to actually deal with these matters. But I think I want to commit to the chair and the members that going forward as the new chair, I will try by all means to escalate certain things if they are not actually happening, so that we can make sure that these things are actually all addressed. Now, moving to Honorable Tim Brottenstech, I believe that what is raising is a very important aspect in respect of the department really providing a detailed report on EPWP, so that then we know that where these people are, what work are they doing, and what is being achieved. In other words, the effectiveness of their deployment in those areas. So I think we are going to do that, and I'm hoping that the DDG EPWP is taking note that this report is required by Parliament. I believe we can look at that so that we make sure. And then also, I think I take what also Honorable Tim is saying in terms of the cost workers in the department. The DDG Corporate Services will work on with us to assist in terms of making sure that we get this so that we understand who's who, to the extent that we don't find ourselves paying salaries and the CFO does not account for the people that he pays for. So we need to see the physical bodies. I think it's a good suggestion that we are taking guidance from you. And then the issue of parliamentary villages, I do agree also with Honorable Tim Bratton to say that we have to audit our facilities, maybe starting with parliamentary villages. I think also, Chairperson, it will also be important, even client departments, because we do believe that when we give properties to correctional services, it's for the same reason of making sure that they are working in a prison and they've got access. So all those things, I believe, assisted by REMS, we should be able to do that audit. I just believe that the head of PMTE and DDG REMS will take this request and take it forward for us to be able to deal with that. And then the issue of the security at the precinct. Luckily, I had an opportunity to go there 4 weeks ago. I do agree with what the Honorable Tim is raising, and also supported by Honorable Khai in terms of saying these guys who are at the security, which is actually police, they are really concerned about vehicles, but you see individuals coming in and out, which actually poses a risk to members. I think we will then also request our real estate management services unit, assisted by Prestige, to look at making sure that this is actually done, obviously in consultation with STP, as he is responsible for parliamentary villages. I think I will then end there and then maybe ask the the CFO to add if there's anything that I might have left, and also maybe allow the head of PMTE, head of ISA to then deal with the other two areas which I wanted her to deal with. CFO. Through you, Chair.
Thank you, DG. I think the only issue, DG, that you may not have covered is around irregular expenditure when it comes to consequence management and increase. Chairperson, the issues are referred to labor relations, where then they institute disciplinary processes. So all irregular expenditure matters, once they are confirmed, they are referred to labor relations. So DPG Corporate Services can then comment if she wants to add on that. I think the other thing, Chair, that Honorable Dango raised was the issue of the client's departments and the confusion, because his comments was that it's the same project. As much as it is like that, Chairperson, but in terms of the vote, each department gets a vote, so it's an independent entity on its own from the accounting point of view. So as much as it may confuse the member, but each client is allocated a specific amount, which where then they owe us, they're supposed to pay, so that we account in our financial statements, and the clients also account on their financial statements. So I thought, let me also provide that clarity. Thank you very much, Chair.
Maybe the head of ISA, Mamete?
Yes. Thank you, DG. I'm here. Good afternoon, members of the Select Committee, Honorable Deputy Minister. I will be responding to the questions raised by Honorable Khai and Honorable Chairperson. So in terms of the establishment of ISA as a public entity, there is a requirement by the National Treasury together with the Department of Public Service and Administration to do two things in terms of that 2018 guideline. We must develop a business case that sets out the framework for the agent to establish ISA as an agency, and to indicate the envisaged budget, its strategic positioning, the organogram, and the just overall rationale of why this entity needs to be established, and the role that it will play in the space of infrastructure, in this case, because it is Infrastructure South Africa. That guideline also indicates that there needs to be a legislation that needs to be in place to give effect to the establishment of that particular entity. So that's the 2018 guideline and what it provides for. So from where we are sitting, we took, the decision was already made in May 2020 by Cabinet that ISA will be established as a public entity reporting to the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure. That was also confirmed by government's economic reconstruction and recovery plan, that also reiterated in the document that Infrastructure South Africa will be established as a single point of entry for all priority infrastructure projects that will require funding, that will require preparation to get these projects to be funded and to get these projects to be implemented. Again, the National Treasury's letter to the accounting officer in the 2022-23 financial year, they also, in their documentation, they also wrote back to the accounting officer to indicate that they are expecting that ISA will be established as a public entity over the MTEF, meaning that over the 3-year period, we should be able to have established Infrastructure South Africa as a public entity. Now, where we are in terms of this work is that both the business case as well as the amendment bill, so we are amending the current Infrastructure Development Act that was promulgated in 2014 to make a provision now for the establishment of ISA as a public entity. Now, these two requirements, in line with the guidelines of the National Treasury, has been satisfied from the side of the Minister, from the side of the DG, and from the side of Infrastructure South Africa. These two documents must be approved. There must be concurrence by the Minister of Finance, as well as, to a large extent, is the Minister of Finance, as well as the Minister of Public Service Administration. And once that concurrence has been established, we then proceed from a legislation perspective. All the groundwork in relation to what is required has already been done. Our Minister Zikalala has already written to the Minister of Finance to now provide him with this documentation and requiring his concurrence in terms of the business case overall, as well as the legislation. The business case also is important because it indicates what schedule this public entity will be assigned in relation to the PFMA. So in this regard, the ISA is envisaged to be a Schedule 3A entity reporting to the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure. And so we are awaiting feedback in relation to the Minister of Finance. And hence, in our presentation, it's alluded that this concurrence we are awaiting that. And once that go-ahead has been provided, we should be able to move forward with the finalization of the legislation to obtain pre-certification from the Office of the Chief State Law Advisors, and ultimately gazette the draft bill for public consultation. And then, of course, it will follow its normal processes until such time, the parliamentary processes, until such time that it is assented into law, promulgated by the President into law. So we have satisfied from our side the requirements of the 2018 guidelines on the establishment of public entities that are playing in the national sphere of government. On the project preparation one and the surrendering of funds back to the National Revenue Fund, that's a very important question. A question from Honorable Chair. So, Infrastructure South Africa's role is to make sure that there is upstream investment in the planning and preparation of infrastructure investment projects. So our indication and the research in South Africa shows that 80% of public infrastructure investment programs and projects, they fail due to lack of planning and lack of preparation for these projects. So it also impacts on the funding side. So National Treasury ultimately will not fund projects that are poorly prepared and packaged. And certainly these projects will never be able to leverage private sector finance, won't be able to process private sector financing if there is no, if these projects do not have robust and comprehensive business cases. Now, we are playing in that space to make sure that we are preparing these projects such that they are viable, so they can receive funding from the National Treasury, and that they are bankable, that they are able to leverage private sector finance. And these will be public sector infrastructure projects and programs. We were unable to utilize the 100 million that was reprioritized from the department side, from the department's own baseline budget, because of the requirements that were set by the National Treasury, because it's not a transfer to the IDC where ISA is housed. but it comes in under goods and services, etc. There needed to be additional conditions that were set by the National Treasury, and we needed to have satisfied those conditions prior to the money being released from the department to the ISA to Infrastructure South Africa's own cost center. So as a result, because that decision was taken in October, and by January we were informed by National Treasury that these will be the requirements, we were not able to satisfy those requirements, and the financial year came to an end literally 7 weeks after we received the documentation from National Treasury and those conditions that needed to be satisfied. And so the impact generally will be that you will not see a robust and comprehensive project pipeline. Yeah, projects that are viable, projects that are bankable, for as long as we are not able to deploy resources in getting those projects from development to progress those projects and graduate them from being conceptual stage, the pre-feasibility stage, into bankability and viability. So that's generally the impact that you'll have. And if there is no project pipeline, you don't see a healthy construction book in terms of the pipeline of projects that will go out on tender and can improve, can increase demand, aggregate demand in the economy, and have job creation, have GDP impact, etc. So it's a whole value chain. However, we've been able to claw back. There has been a significant progress in relation to this project preparation work that we're undertaking at Infrastructure South Africa, and we're hoping that in the foreseeable future, Honorable Chair and members, that you'll begin to see a more robust project pipeline coming out of these projects that are scattered across all the spheres of government, and some of them also by public entities and SOEs. So our work is in relation to that, and of course the Deputy Minister will add on the presidency issues and Infrastructure South Africa. So according to the current act, the Infrastructure Development Act, the minister responsible for overseeing this particular act reports to the president through the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Commission Council, the PICC Council. So the minister reports to that structure that's chaired by the president on everything infrastructure, including the strategic integrated projects, the project pipeline, policy, regulatory, and legislative issues that are impeding infrastructure investments, etc. So the minister reports to the president in terms of that, and then, but we are firmly a program that sits in the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, and reporting to both the accounting officer as well as the executive authority. Thank you, Chair. I will leave it there. Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe, Chair, through you, can I then maybe through you, Chair, ask the head of PMTE just to wrap up before the DM probably could do the last comment, so that because we've taken most of the points. Thank you very much, Chairperson. The head of PMTE, Mr. Caesar Sibande, if he wants to make comments.
Thanks, DG, honorable members, honorable Chair, Deputy Minister. DG, I think we have covered all the issues that were raised by the honorable members, and we commit to improve our performance given the challenges that we have had, both on infrastructure, on property management, as well as our general performance in terms of dealing with the consequence management issues that the members have raised. With regard to our turnaround plan, we have developed a new plan which is called Asset Optimization Strategy, that the minister currently engages the Minister of Treasury to get concurrence. In that way, we'll be able to deliver quality facilities to our client, as the CFO has defined that for us, and further to ensure that our turnaround time is also improved, and we will see new norms and standards of infrastructure roll out, not only in the urban areas, but also in the district and our rural areas. Thank you, DG. Thank you, honorable members and the DM.
Thank you, DG. TM.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members. Honorable Chair, we welcome all the inputs and questions by the honorable members. But I should say that we'll improve the reporting so that it includes clear details of what programs in which provinces, communities, and how many jobs were created, because EPWP is turning 20 years this year in March, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members. And it is very true that the inputs that Honorable Khai has made and also Honorable Brauterset has made around EPWP, that we should be able to account for the number of EPWP participants in each province, in each municipality. And it's also important that in what we term the fifth phase of EPWP, that indeed the recruitment of EPWP participants should be able to allow us to show the Auditor General a file for each and every EPWP participants, which will also respond to Honorable Tim on what he is asking in terms of ghost workers in EPWP. Because if we do the socialization of the program from its inception, and also how we actually recruit, because the Auditor General should be able to pick up a file that has a person's application form, their ID number, their proof of residence. It should be able to say what duties they do. It should be able to also speak to a register that is signed every day. Because indeed, Honorable Khai, we are being told everywhere that EPWP participants just sleep under trees. But in the first phase, we have actually put in a clause that all participants of EPWP programs should have an exit strategy. We'll be able to put that in the bigger report that you are requesting, Honorable Tim, which will show a number of graduations where participants have started in an EPWP program. We did a graduation of 165 participants in the Western Cape, where they started as EPWP participants, but then registered with TVET colleges and the relevant construction centers, where they have participated in different programs, which have then given them qualifications. And some of them, we have urged them to carry on with those TVET colleges. I think on the EPWP, that will be my comment, Honorable Chairperson. And then there's a very important question that was asked in terms of what the AG has put in terms of even having pictures in terms of the maintenance of our buildings. Honorable Chair and honorable members, through the Minister, we are going to be introducing a renovate, occupy and transfer, and build occupy and transfer program, which is going to assist us to actually rehabilitate our own buildings as DPWI, so that we move away from the private sector buildings and we are able to use our own buildings as government. But that requires us to actually maintain our buildings to a proper standard that will allow our tenants to agree that we are giving them properly renovated and properly built buildings which they can then occupy. Honorable Dango, on the IDT, they have responded to you, but we are expecting a response from PSEC on the business case that we have submitted for the IDT. Once we get that, which the time frame is end of March, which is next month, we'll then go back to Cabinet so that the IDT can then stand on its own. And in the business case, we have also put in what we deem as a way that the IDT would be able to sustain itself, because we have been transferring funds to them so that, and funding them so that they are able to run and sustain themselves. And I also believe that we have got a lot of improvements to do, and we welcome all the inputs that have been given by the honorable members. And we are going to sit down so that our APP does indeed speak to our expenditure and the budget itself, and also adhere to the comments made by Honorable Khai in terms of us adhering to what the AG, in a number of instances, in some of the branches where comments have been made over a longer period of time by the AG. So we do welcome that, Honorable Chairperson, and are also committing ourselves that we are going to improve on a number of issues that, especially like the asset register itself, where we can make improvements in this area because it appears a number of times. And if there are any questions which we have not responded to, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members, I think that they can be raised so that we respond to them. And that also to say, Honorable Chairperson, that indeed, as the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, through the Minister, we are on a roadmap working around ISA so that we comply on what is needed from us as a department in complying on setting up what we call the Infrastructure South Africa. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members. And at least I showed my face, Honorable Chair, that I'm not a ghost. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Deputy Minister, for showing yourself to our communities, and also for responding to the questions that were put forward by members. Indeed, I just need to find out from members as to whether is there any follow-up questions to be posed. I get a sense that the department has adequately responded to the questions that were put forward by members of the select committee, which then takes me to the next point, which obviously is to express a word of gratitude to the Deputy Minister and the team that she led in terms of the presentation, but also having had an opportunity to be part of the first item when we were dealing with the consideration, the C list. And it's always good when we have one of our leaders in the form of the Deputy Minister and the Minister leading the team, so that politically they take responsibility for the presentations that the department is making. And on that note, let me then also extend a word of gratitude to the team that the Minister led. From our side, as the select committee, we will deal with the minutes of the previous meeting in the next meeting when we meet to deal with the final mandate on the expropriation bill. And on that note, let me then also extend a word of gratitude to the members of the select committee for availing themselves to the first meeting of the select committee of this year. Indeed, your commitment and availability made it possible for the select committee to be able to execute its work. Lastly, our guest also, a word of gratitude to all of you for attending this meeting. Therefore, the meeting of the select committee is adjourned. Thank you, honorable members. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Chair.
Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Honorable Side.